Yeah. Welcome. Absolutely freezing. Um, got the fingerless gloves on, but I might swap to the full-on thermals because it's freezing. Just thinking, I'm reading this new book at the minute. Introduction to NLP. As in, NLP's got, the acronym's got two meanings. In this context, I mean Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which is a psychology term. In computing, it's also, or data science, NLP also means natural language processing, which is basically computers looking at pattern recognition. Even though they're totally different, they've got some crossover because they are pattern recognition. Psychology is pattern recognition. It's understanding patterns and all that kind of thing. Anyway, NLP. Because I'm supposed to be going on a course next month, an NLP course, to get trained up as a practitioner. There's a lot of stuff in NLP that fits lots of sort of modern psychology, and I thought, I want to do that. And then it's quite good actually, because you get to be a practitioner, and then they also train you to do hypnosis and stuff like this. So it's like skills that I want. It's basically a collection of mental models, the way I see it. Although you've got to be careful with NLP because you get the purists out there that it's like the purists in anything, you know what I mean? They won't accept any new ideas or switching from the doctrine, the doctrine itself, the absolute prescribed doctrine, which means it's quite dogmatic when it gets like that. But then there are other NLP trainers that do allow a lot of flex and they move between concepts. And I think that's the best way to be, because today we're going to talk about something I read in here, which is about why some people find it easy to learn than others. And I think something that I've come across which makes it easy to learn is understanding that everything's just almost like a mental model, and you should be looking to acquire mental models that serve you in life that you can reapply to multiple situations. So when you think, why do some people learn quicker than others? You get these people that, like, I've seen it where they have to be shown, like, there's some people that need to be taken through a training course, shown every piece of detail, every, let's say, all the steps, and in the thumbnail to this I put up the 4 levels of competence, you know what I mean, which is important, because when you're at first you're sort of unconsciously incompetent, you don't know what you don't know, and then you become consciously incompetent, which is where you actually know you don't know something, and then you become what's called consciously competent. Finally you become unconsciously competent. Now that third stage, consciously competent, is quite an important one, because that's where you're not in a flow state, you haven't really got the skills down. What you're doing, you're a complete beginner, say, and you're just doing what your tutor or coach or instructor tells you to do. So take this in a martial art context, right? Initially, when you first start a martial art, you don't know anything. You're just performing a movement exactly how the coach is showing you, right? How you're being trained. And the idea is just to repeat that and become good at just that one movement, which creates what's called a motor skill. Now, you can create a motor skill in anything. You can create a motor skill in, say, a good one is cycling, right? You can become cycling fit, but not actually fit. You know, you're just good on a bike just to turn them wheels, and then, you know, you start running and you can't translate it because that motor skill is just, it's very one-dimensional. It's just for that thing. So when you're in that phase of learning anything and you're in the conscious competence phase and you're just doing exactly what someone's telling you to do, you know, it could be a martial art, it could be like playing an instrument like a piano. Push this key, press that key, press that key, press it. You know, you're just following a routine. You're not ready to improvise and start developing your own tunes. And that's because you're just doing as you're told, and that's quite normal. The key is to get to the unconscious competence, you know, where you can really push through and start improvising. And I think some people never get there. Some people just follow the instruction, and all they can do is just repeat what they've been shown. And you see this in like work settings where somebody's been shown a job, and if it's anything other than whatever they've been shown, they just cannot think outside the box. So what's the difference then? How do we get to the point where we can become a master of something? No, not even a master, just like, and I think you meet some people where all they need to be shown is like the fundamentals, the basics, the fundamental routines, and then they can take that and build on it themselves, right? And those people are able to take the basic skills, put them into a mental model, and then reapply it. And yeah, this is it. This is there's a set. I'll just read you a couple of paragraphs from the book. It's a new book. I don't think it's super famous or anything. I just sort of, you know, Joseph Conant and John Seymour introducing NLP, psychological skills for understanding and influencing people. Right. So there's a section in here now. It says, this book describes many of the models of excellence that NLP has to build in the field of communication, business, education and therapy. The approach is practical, it gets results, and it is increasingly influential in many disciplines all over the world. And when I read that, I thought, okay, great. From what I've heard when I've spoke to the trainer, the person that I'm going to go on the course with, he mentions that some people really excel at this. They come in, they do the practitioner first bit, it's like 8 days solid, and then after that they really excel. And then they come back and do the master practitioner and stuff like this. And I thought, right, when he showed me the prospectus, as soon as I saw it and I looked at the table of contents, there was loads of stuff in there that I'd already seen in many other books and stuff like this. So I already had a grasp and a philosophy of various bits, and I thought, okay, I could get on board with this, I'm going to go on it. But I bet there are like 80% of people that go on these courses that just do it and never take it any further. They're not able to build on it. And I've seen this in so many examples, right? I went on here's a good one, language, right? Language is one of them. When you learn a new language, it's quite difficult because it is a complete new form of communication. So when you learn a new language, unless you subject yourself to opportunities to use it, we're back. Somebody tried to ring me then, I said knock it off. So, unless you subject yourself to opportunities to use that language, you know, keep using it, you're going to forget it. You know what I mean? If you fall out of practice, you're going to forget it. And it's the same with things like, like learning an instrument. I think riding a bike is one of them skills that we all say it's like riding a bike. Once you've ridden a bike as a kid, you can pretty much, even if you're rusty, it's quick to get going. But there are all sorts of different things. They're all like, if I think, like cold calling or cold approach of any type, going speaking to someone cold and approaching them. This is a very unique one. Let's say you've got to speak to someone and go and try and make a sale, cold calling. Once you get out of practice with that, you get very rusty and fail, and you have to start again. Now, it's not the skill itself that you're failing. It's not the knowledge that you're failing in. It's the application of it, you know, and it takes time to apply it. And I think that one, there are some people that just excel at it, and some people. So you can sit the same people in the same course, like 10 people, listen to the same sales training course, and then like 2 of them will be able to do something with it. 8 of them will just not even bother. And I saw this when I went on. So years ago, I went on C# programming course, right? C#, sat on it, come away, used it on a couple of projects, and then I stopped using it. And it's like, okay, how would I have carried on that skill? Well, I could pick it up again, but I'd have to go back and relearn it. Now, what I could have done with that was to put that skill into a mental model of say, object-oriented programming, which you understand as a concept. So it could apply to any language, right? And that's the best way to do it. Good morning, thank you. So I did a video, and I put a link down below, called The 7 Mental Models that you need for success. And these are generic mental models. Oh, it's night for you, Australia, yeah, cool. These generic mental models that you can reuse in life at any time. Like, you've got ones for communication, you've got ones for, say, sales and marketing, or all that kind of thing. You've got technical marketing, like search engine optimizer. These are things that you can reuse no matter what business. And then there's like the things to start a business. I think I did one on, was it matching and mirroring, communication, this kind of thing. So, yeah. Go and have a look at that video. It's in the description down below. Who's this? David Holt. Is that the David Holt? Very boring, Andy. Scott made you boring. Listen, I'll tell you something. It's okay to be, sometimes we need to be boring. There's a lot. Oh, they're doing some maintenance over the back here, so that's what the noise is. Sometimes you need to be boring and consistent, like every day doing the same things, because that leads to success, right? I've told you this before. The squirrels are coming. Success leaves clues. All you have to do is look at someone else. Yeah, the squirrels are running up the fence. Look at someone else who's getting the results that you want and copy them. Success leaves clues. Right, so, yeah, why do some people excel at skills than others? Who knows? I think it's different in things like physical. I think it's difficult things like physical things, like when I go to jiu-jitsu. I went this morning, 6 a.m. Decent turnout. It was a big turnout today. There's a lot of people there. And you know, when you see someone new, there's a new lad there, like, and when you see someone new, you can tell straight away whether they're going to pick it up or not, right? Well, he's new. Of course, what belt? Brand new. Came without a belt. First day, like. But you can tell whether someone's going to be able to pick it up or not. And yeah, he was pretty useful straight away. So I thought, right, okay. I'm a 2-stripe purple. Yeah, right. Anyway, and it's the same with everything. So I did another video. I'll put a link down below. It's how long to stay in your job, and I think that one's quite good. I gave an example there. I did that video because I was talking to like a coaching client about this guy wanted to move from, say, being engineering a job to self-employed. You know, he basically wanted a business, right? He wanted a business which is like a tech business like me, right? And I was trying to give him a few practical steps based on what I did, because you might have to move around a little bit. You know, you've got your job, you can't just quit it and start a business, because then you'll end up skint. So you need to build around it. It's better to go from, for him, to go from being an engineer to, say, a self-employed contractor, because it's the next level, isn't it? Like you get more, because he wanted some autonomy and like location independence. And I thought, okay, let's move. It is getting really loud, this. They trim back all the trees and stuff, and I think it's, you know, like where you chuck the branches in it. Shredder. Yeah, it's super loud. Anyway, I hope it's not too bad. So yeah, I was telling him to become a self-employed contractor, because that's kind of the next line. And then after that, if he can build a team around him, you know, you get some location independence, you can start to do things. And then if you can build a team around you, get other contractors working with you or some staff, you can start building up a pot of money. And then once you get enough money, you can then invest in some sort of technology business or whatever you're going to do, right? Which is what I kind of did. Are you just spewing jiu-jitsu terms? Right, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so I was explaining to him about this, and the purpose of that is to gather, in the video that I talk about how long you should stay in your job, it always reminded me of when I worked in the city. I worked with a guy who, I remember the first day I went in, right, yeah, of course. I remember the first day I went in to this office. I've been poached. I used to work for this construction company. I got poached to work for this big, let's call it, hello, good morning, this big engineering multi-disc design international consultancy. And I went in, and there was a guy in there. And first day he went, oh, I'm 30 years experience, me, been here 30 years. And I thought, well, yeah. I thought, he's been there 30 years in that same fucking chair. I thought, that's not experience. That's just sitting in the same damn chair. Experience is experiencing new things, like moving around, new jobs, new experiences, new roles, new skills. It's not sitting in the same chair doing the same thing for 30 years. I don't think that's experience. I made the analogy. I've also done if you go on my website, I've done a great article on this, about how long you should stay in your job. And it's based on the video that I did. So what I actually say is, after about 2 years, I remember when I was working in construction, the guy said to me, he went, my boss at the time, very wealthy, successful man, and I was about to leave, and he said, after about 2 years of being in a job, you pretty much learn everything you need to know about that job. Yeah, there are more, you know what I mean? But after about 2 years, it starts to tail off, you know, your learning curve. The most amount of learning you do is the first couple of years. And then I think after about 5 years, it really flattens out, right? So let's say once you've been in a career, after about 5 years, it really flattens out. And then after that, the only thing you're ever going to learn is just become more proficient at that. But you've pretty much got 89–90% of it down. So I always think the best thing you should do if you want to continue your personal development is to switch role. Sometimes that might mean leaving the company and moving company. Sometimes that might mean a new role, sidestepping. Sometimes, if you're lucky enough, you get a promotion. But I think promotions are bullshit. The only way to get promoted is to leave and move. But anyway, if you're lucky enough, get a promotion, but you need a new job, or a new experience, or the most radical is a complete career change, right? And to be honest, I've done a few career changes, and what I found is you're always even when you do a career change that's not too drastically different from what you're doing, you're always able to take this, as long as you learn good, say, fundamentals, first principles, mental models, you're able to take those skills into the next job. This is so loud now. I hope, can you hear that? It's like over the back here, there's like behind the fence, it drops down. There's like a cycle path thing, like a walkway, like a nature walk. And they come along every now and again and maintain it. They trim all trees back and stick them through a flipping shredder and stuff. And that's why it's really loud. So, yeah, anyway, they're just doing that. So yeah, where were it's just a parody, yeah. Unconscious of the spirit, yes, it does, yeah. So the human being is made to evolve not only in the material world but also in the conscious of the spirit, yeah. That's like, what I showed in, God, what's the book called now? I showed it the other day. It's the entropy, or the triangles where entropy is always fighting against you, in the material world and also in the spiritual world as well, or the consciousness. Right, I might have to knock this on the head. It's just so fucking loud. But yeah, back to what I was talking about. Why am I sitting in the garden? I always sit in the garden because it's cold, freezing. And this is where I do my reading and writing in the morning. Yeah, because we're here to learn, right? That's why I'm sat in the garden. Are you sat inside where it's all cosy and warm? Yeah. Apologies for the noise. Might show up in a second. Maybe. Anyway, back to what we're saying. So, when you move jobs like that after every 5 years, you get a new spike of learning. So imagine you've been in a job for 5 years, right? And it's tailed off the learning. Now you could carry on for 20 years, same job, but all you'll ever know is that one job. What you're better off doing is have another spike. I wish I could have a diagram. Might be, I'll just draw it in here now. Hang on. I'll draw it out for you. So, let's say this is time, and then this is experience going up, right? Let's say these are 5-year blocks, like that. I'm going to show you this in a second, just hang fire. Your first, sorry, that will be experience, yeah, right. There you go. I'm going to show you this now. Right, so there we go. I should have written backwards, shouldn't I? Because this is going to be mirrored, right? This is time. This is experience, right? Let's say your first job here, you're going to learn most of it in the first 2 years. And then after about, this is a 5-year point, this line. When you get to here, it starts flattening out. Now, if you carry on in that same job, you're going to learn a little bit, right? But it's just going to go up so slow, right? You're just going to get more just cemented in your skills. What you can do, this is totally anecdotal now. Not based on science, but it's just anecdotal. Instead of staying in that job, if you was to switch job, right, at that point, let's say you just did a complete career change, right, or a new job, or a step to a new company or whatever. I don't think it'd be, if you just stepped to a new company in the same role, I don't think it'd be the same. But if you did a complete career change, you've got another massive learning spike. And then, and I'm talking, this is like your personal development experience. if all you're interested in is like becoming, I don't know, a professional in one particular niche, then of course you need to double down and keep specialising. But I think a better way is to become a specialised generalist, so you acquire many skills that you can reuse again in life. And then if you keep doing this is purely anecdotal, and I'd be interested to know what you know, if you kept doing this, this is a 20-year cycle. Let's say in 20 years you could be at that point in general knowledge, or that point, right? If you stay in the same fucking job, you'll probably be there. But if you keep moving around, you might be up there because you've got more experience. Anyway, like I say, it's anecdotal. But what you're doing here is you're taking like reusable skills, mental models into new walks of life. And examples of that might be at the first, like I can only speak for myself, but I'll tell you what, no, this is general. You could be in a job, right? Yeah, it is step by step. You could be in a job like your first job, working in an office, and then let's say you get proficient at those skills. You get very good, you can produce good work, and you're in demand. Once you become in demand, I think you're better off going self-employed. Because you need to have a bit of confidence in your own ability to. Now, obviously, the economy's shite at the minute, so maybe stay in your job. But when you've got normal economic times and things are working, I think once you hit the top of the skill level, or the top 10%, let's say you're one of the best in the office at producing work, or if you work on a site and you're joiner or something, you're one of the best joiners for the company. Once you hit the best, that is the point when you need to go self-employed, because you need to kind of like have confidence to bet on yourself, to know that you will be able to reproduce and be in demand and get work, right? So does take a bit of guts and a bit of balls, say, to go self-employed. But there's always a moment, like when you look at the self-employed contractors, they're always the best people, aren't they? Because if you're like a make weight, or the bottom in the workforce, not too skilled, there's no point going self-employed, because no one's going to protect you. Might as well get the protection of a job. No one's going to hire you. They only hire the best. So yeah, these gloves are giving off some weird, I think they're falling apart. So yeah, that was that example. And the idea being is, if you're that type of person that can take the principles of something, really run with it, develop skills that become exceptional, then you can go off. And the other thing is, once you get like that, you can also then go into other industries. So an example of that might be, let's say you had a job, you moved to being self-employed in the similar line of work, right? But it's like more responsibility, because you're adding in things like managing taxes and expenses, and almost like running with like doing more sales, because you have to sell yourself, because all of a sudden you're self-employed. Yes, so you're developing more skills. And then let's say you build a team around you. Let's say you're the joiner, you had a job, and then you become the best joiner and you go self-employed, and then you start getting work and your own contracts, and then all of a sudden you can build a team of other joiners around you. You start earning money off them, so you're developing more business skills. Your last job then is to move to, let's say, more of a scalable business. And when I say scalable business, I mean like something you can leverage, like not time for money. So an example, obviously you've built a team of joiners. You then might go, okay, I'm going to build a full construction company with ground workers, electricians, bricklayers, whatever, right? Roofers, the whole lot. That is more. But even better than that would be to develop something that is completely scalable, right, in terms of not relying on time for money people. So you might think, right, what technology can I add to the construction industry? I've been a joiner all my life. Fucking dripping. I've been a joiner all my life. I'm going to come up with a new reciprocating saw, or a new piece of technology, or a new application, like a little phone app or something that is going to help joiners measure equipment, book time, things like that. You're really scalable, right? So the idea being is you're going to use those skills and transfer them into other areas. And that's what that video was about. That's that model. I'm going to read some of these comments. I put the link down below, how long you should stay in your job, which you can click on after this. And then on my website, andyholt.co.uk, I have got a written article about it too. So explore that by all means. Let's have a look at a few of these. I do my best reading and writing 30 below. Right. If I read and write at room temperature, it feels like I'm cheating. Yeah, yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it does. Not at room temperature. You've got to be in sub-zero, right? You've got to have some pain when you read and write. I agree with your sentiments, but being a brickie doesn't translate into being a good business owner. No, it doesn't. No. This is back to that point, you know, like sometimes you can become very skilled in one particular area, like one-dimensional, and that's an example of developing motor skills. Motor skills are, I'm going to become brilliant at doing this one movement, you know, picking a brick up. I worked with a guy, right, first job I had. Oh, it's fucking dripping. Anyway, I worked with a guy, first job I had. I used to work on site, so when I left college, A-levels, I didn't want to go to university straight away, so I went working for my uncle, installing extraction systems. So it was a lot of like welding, steel work, sheet metal work, all that kind of thing. And I worked with a guy there, and he used to say about bricklayers, saying, "Oh, it's easy. Just put one brick on top of other, one on top of other." He used to say. I thought, yeah, that is good, but no, there's a real motor skill with bricklaying to, you know, laying the bricks, you know, laying the mortar, get the right amount, get the brick down, get it level. It's a real motor skill, right? To go beyond a motor skill is to develop a mental model. That's like first principles. How can I, what would you pick up there? Well, the first principles are about maybe structure, consistency of the mortar, things like this. And then you can reuse that. Let's have a look at some of these comments. Everyone can have the knowledge, but only 1% applies that knowledge in real life. Yes, it does. There was I've mentioned this before, there's a survey, isn't there, by Harvard and Yale did this survey about people that have goals, and apparently only something like 13% of the world's population have defined goals, and I think only 3% write them down. Now, obviously, of that 3% that write them down, probably only 1%. I do believe that only 1% take action, roughly. Most people that come on the internet and watch YouTube, they're not fucking interested in developing their life or anything. It's just like, you know, for entertainment. It is a small fraction. This is a real niche, 1% of people. You're in London right now? No, I'm not. Manchester. Your channel is basically about conscious manifestation. Not really. I do believe in terms of the power of the brain. Most of the stuff I talk about is external, but you know, external goals. But you do have external, internal goals, and I think the two are, you know, any goal requires both. It requires focus, which is the mental part, and aligned action, which is the physical part. So yeah, let me just drop this down because let's have a look. No offence, but you usually start telling long stories after reading every comment. Yeah. You should try opening an audiobook channel. No, I write physical books and stuff like that. But yeah, I do that, yeah, sometimes. Because this is a live stream, you see, so I like to engage and answer comments. When I do a video, I'm not speaking to anyone, I'm just talking. Real skill of bricklaying, head down, arse up, yeah. I love that. People love playing the victim card. If you ask someone why they're having a hard time, they'll instantly feel so relieved and excited to tell you the victim story, but they are choosing that reality. Yes, that is entirely true. you know, one of the best things that you can do is, you know, create some goals and start delivering them. You know, I always think that growth mindset thing, right? No matter where you come from, there's no point whinging about someone's got a better deal than you or they've been handed better cards. You can only deal with the cards that you've got, and you can only start moving forwards. And I do believe that it's complete excuses to start whinging about your situation. Yeah, sympathise with people, you know. A lot of people start from a tough spot, but it doesn't have to stay that way, right? You can take action instead of complaining. Yeah, I would imagine people who are living in starvation don't have the time to set a wish board. Yeah, but they can do things. People who are living in starvation can do something about it, right? Hopefully. There's things that you can do. You know, your priority, bloody hell, I don't know what the priorities are, but I'd imagine at the very bottom. I don't want to get into the very, very bottom of society because, you know, it gets too metaphysical, I think, when you start talking down there, you know, like people starving, you know, the old people are starving, other countries and so. Yeah, but it gets too metaphysical. But even if you're at the very bottom, your job, you think about the hierarchy of needs, is to start stepping up that pyramid, you know what I mean? Life outcome is often decided by the quality of questions you ask yourself. Ah, that's very philosophical. I think so, yeah. Yeah. Italiano. I'm from Miami. I own clubs and real estate business over here. It's very easy in Miami, I imagine. More easy than the UK. You've got a bigger market. I always wanted to move to the US because the size of the market, the opportunity, everything's bigger, you know, all that kind of thing. So I imagine it's pretty cool there in Miami. Do you walk around like Miami Vice or like the 1980s? I'd be like that, me. I'd be having one of them shirts on and, you know, fucking white suit or something, walking around like that, just loving it. If you ever come to Miami, do let me know. We'll be happy to host you. Oh yeah, of course. I'll hit me up with an email. My contacts are down below. I'd love to go to Miami and do that. Walk around with a white suit on. Yeah, look in the business. It's not the conditions, it's the decisions. If on the way back I go to England, I would definitely connect with you. Yeah, you seem knowledgeable and wise. Oh, thank you. I'm always keen to connect with people older than me who still, what do you mean older? I'm only 23. Who has hunger for success, yeah. Are you sure you understand what metaphysics means? Not really, no. That's why I don't go there. Miami is fun. Puglia, Italy is great. Ah, right, yeah, cool. How long have you been getting? Yeah. Fair play. Yeah. Anyway, it's quieting down and you're still here. So thank you very much for joining. Just to recap, today was about, obviously, I was going to say super learning. One of the best people that got me into this stuff was Tim Ferriss. I just love Tim Ferriss's approach to super learning. He's always thinking at first principles, mental models, how we can reapply that. You know what I mean? It's like simplest mental model. I don't know, circumference of a circle. Right, you can reuse that in anything, in your house, in your garden, size of a tyre. There you go, this is a really simplistic example, but good mental models. Link down below to my 7 mental models for success, right, which will give you an idea of, I'm going to call them, they're not really like first principle stuff, they're more a couple of levels up, they're more general life skills that you can reuse, you know, things like sales, marketing. No matter what we do in life, if we're going to become successful, we've got to be able to sell ourselves and convince others. So things like communication, and then understanding the mechanics of sales as a process, understanding things like digital marketing, right, and stuff like that. And then creating businesses, how to take personal accountability, take risks, a goal setting system, which I'm very big on, of course, like the 3-step system that I promote. If you want a good idea. I've now obviously put that in the journal. You can get one, links down below. It'll teach everything that I talk about is in there. My 3-step system, which is create an identity for yourself that you want, the life that you want, your vision, set some goals, and then achieve them by choosing 3 things a day. And it's just about repeating good habits. Next one. Yeah, in Miami it's easier. You can say the real American dream is in Miami. I can imagine, right? I also thank my family for supporting me with my business endeavours. Learned everything in life from my grandpa, actually. That's really good. It is nice when you have some good people to fall back on. Not everyone's got good sort of family like that. If you haven't got good family, I think you can always find a mentor. You know, I didn't really have anyone pushing me when I was growing up. I was a bit of a self-starter. I just remember from the age of about 12, just like a switch going off and thinking, I don't want this. I'm gonna have to dig myself out of this. So I just started studying, and then I always found mentors, right? I always found someone, mentor. I'm a great believer in coaching and mentors and things like that. People to look up to, because there's always something you can learn from someone else. So that's correct. Jesus is the way, is the way, the truth, the only life. He loved you so much that he saw you at your worst and still calls you worth dying for. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that is a good point. Something great, like a great anchor to sort of root your life on and build that faith on, will give you a huge amount of success. God bless. Well, if you want, I can fly you to Italy as well. Yeah, I go to Italy quite often. I've not been for about 12 months, but I love Italy. Right now with family. Right, I'm in Italy right now. Which part of Italy are you in? I love all parts of Italy. One of my favourite places in Italy is Naples. Naples, it always feels so Italian, you know, like so authentic. Like walking around Naples, all the shops and all that kind of thing, just feels so authentic. Yeah, I mean, sadly, when a lot of people go to Naples, they just use it as a place to fly in and then piss off round to where do they go? Like Positano, or around to the Amalfi Coast. But I think the real value is in actual Naples. It's so authentic. I love the feel of it, and don't listen to people when they say it's rough. It's not rough at all. I mean, yeah, you get, there's fucking crime everywhere. But yeah, one of the other things about Naples as well, the taxis, absolutely crazy. Like the way they drive, the taxis there, like the Italian taxi drivers, fucking cutting each other up and that. I remember one of them saying to me, he said, "You wouldn't believe this, Italy's in the G7, it's like really advanced. Yeah, look how we drive taxis here. It's like they do it in India, like cutting people up and stuff like that." Brilliant. I wanted to take a pee, but what you explained are very simple truths. I can't take them out. No, thank you very much. Thanks, Liam. Boston is a beautiful place, I am very sure. Right, listen, I need to shoot because I've got to get on with some work. Okay? Thank you for listening. Go and check out the links down below the videos that I did. 2 of them. The first one is the 7 mental models for success, and the other one is how long to stay in your job. I think you'll enjoy both of them. And until next time, well, I'll see you all next time.